Awesome. Shall I kick off with a quick intro, Suzanne?
Yeah. Yes, please, David. Thank you.
Great. So I work in the investment team at two funds, actually. One is a fund called Houghton Street Ventures, which is LSE's venture fund. We invest at pre-seed and seed, writing tickets of £250,000. I also work in the investment team at Antler. So Antler is known, I guess, for a few different reasons. One, for its residency model, where we take in founders who are very, very early stage. Of course, I was a day zero investor and help them with ideating, experimenting and building. And then we invest about £125,000 in their companies at the end of a 3-month period. But we also have, we do direct investments as well. So we can write tickets of between £100,000 and £250,000 in pre-seed and seed deals in the UK. And I guess the value there is that we can write tickets then from seed to Series C of between £1 to £10 million in our portfolio companies. A global network of about 150,000 founders across 27 locations around the world. So have a huge talent base that we can plug into if you're looking for talent or expertise or access into different sectors and industries. So yeah, that's a bit about us in a nutshell. Yeah, very keen to learn more about Vortex and what you're doing in the e-commerce space.
Very good, David. Thank you. Thanks for that intro. That's been very, very helpful. To give a short overview of what Vortex IQ does, we are an AI agentic framework for e-commerce optimization. So what it means is that we take insights and analytics data from e-commerce, from different sources of e-commerce, be it the platform or Google Analytics or different sources within an e-commerce setup, convert those data into insights or actionable insights. And then we have AI agents which deploy those. So the three co-founders have been in e-commerce for about 15 years, worked with over 500 enterprise customers. And we started off the company as one of the three pillars that is required for our agentic workflow is staging. We started off as a staging company. We signed up with BigCommerce to provide staging solution to all their merchants. They have about 60,000 merchants worldwide, out of which 6,000 are enterprise. And through that relationship, we started working with people like NVIDIA and the White Stuff and lots of retailers like the Richer Sound, British Airways, Avios. There is a discussion now with the British American Tobacco to sign up. So there are lots of enterprise customers who are on these SaaS platforms, be it BigCommerce or Shopify or Adobe Commerce, Salesforce Commerce Cloud. They find it very difficult to create a staging to be able to test those changes. So basically, that was how we started off the company. But after speaking to the agencies and the platform owners and the merchants themselves, we realized that we are sitting on all this gold mine of data. We know more about the platform than the platform owners or the merchant themselves, because we have access to whatever happens on a developer's PC, all the way through to the checkout journey of all of the merchants that we are managing. So with all of that data, we were best placed to generate the insights and help them deploy. And then came in the AI agents to be able to automate all of it. We were anyway automating the hardest part of it, which is the staging. So so currently, as we speak, there are like 3 components or 4 components for our secret sauce. The first component is basically insight generation. From all the data, we generate the insights. And the second is our custom LLM we have created to be able to understand which API is to be used behind the scene to be able to make it work. So we trained an AI classification model to be able to understand which API has to be used. And then we also have the staging component and the AI agentic framework, which glues all of these together. So these are the 4 things which make up for our AI agentic framework for e-commerce optimization. Sorry, a long intro, but that's what we do.
No, that's amazing. Thank you. I'd love to understand where you're at right now.
Yeah, very good question. Thanks for asking. So we have so far worked with about 140 enterprise customers, primarily for the staging side, and we are just working with a handful of them for doing the beta rollout of our we call it early release rollout of our AI agentic framework to gather feedback as quickly as possible. So from a product standpoint, the product is already there, fully adopted for BigCommerce. We are also rolling out for Shopify And for Adobe Commerce, we are already having a solution which we presented to the senior leadership with the Adobe team to see if they would adopt the product themselves. Then that would immediately give us access to over few thousand customers. But first, they should be using it internally. For all the customers that they manage, they have a service group which is basically aimed at providing customer white glove service for specific large retailers, which is where we want them to use our solution. And we have established credibility with them, having worked with them for about 6 years in the previous business I founded. So they also gave us an award last year saying we are the Adobe Commerce Rock Stars for last year at Vegas. So there is that established credibility there and relationship which has been built over so many years. So now this agentic framework has to be adopted through the top-down approach. So in terms of where we are at, we have existing customer base about 140. We have existing relationship with BigCommerce. We have also a growing relationship with Adobe in terms of adoption. We also want to work deeply with Shopify. We already have started talking to their all the key leadership positions here in Europe first, and then we will go all the way to Canada. But the way we looked at Adobe, Shopify, which is the biggest platform as well, from our standpoint. So there, the go-to-market would be through the agency setup. So we have already signed up with 8 agencies, 4 in the US, 4 in UK, and all of these agencies have had several awards from BigCommerce, and they are coveted large agencies. So in terms of go-to-market, existing customer base, we are already there, and we want to scale it rapidly because this agentic framework, we believe, has got 100x impact in some of these work which are manually done. And in terms of fundraise, we already raised over $1 million a few months back from Sierra Valley Ventures, which is a AI-specific fund, and also Techstars followed on. So Techstars had initially done the investment, and then they followed on. So we are going to be going for a new round, which is going to be released next week on the 15th. Just ahead of your demo day, so a focus demo day. So it is on 15th. We have also been invited to TechCrunch Disrupt in San Francisco, which is between 28th to 30th. We are within the top 200 there. So we are going to be presenting there as well. There will be a lot of opportunities to meet, but we felt that we should actually be reaching out to all of our European VCs, UK VCs who have had interest in our operations. There are a lot of VCs who approached us from Focal as well. So that's the reason we wanted to release the round before going to San Fran, and then take feedback from here before we go there.
Amazing. Say for example, Vortex is hyper successful. Like what does this business look like in 5 years' time?
So we wanted to dominate this AI agentic framework for e-commerce. So I think the prediction is that there would be more number of AI agents than humans on Earth. And in this space of web and e-commerce, we want to dominate that space. We have got 20 years of experience in DevOps and working with websites and with many of these big, very large brands. Now is the time to make it happen or make it available for every single website that's there in the world. So that's where we want to see ourselves in 5 years.
So do you see a future where like there's minimal humans in the loop in the e-commerce space? Is that's
going to happen eventually? We'll take one step at a time. And I think currently I see it as a very big facilitator. So think about the e-commerce manager who has got all of the winter collection clothes and she doesn't know which one to highlight on a LinkedIn post. Now she gives the task to an AI agent, comes the next day morning, the Instagram post is ready with all of the content already optimized, newsletter content is ready. That saves a lot of time. I think human brain is still required. It is just that AI agents will facilitate and remove all the boring elements of the work and make it interesting for them to pick and choose. Like 4 concepts are ready. So you can pick and choose which one she wants to promote rather than having to work through each concept. There is not enough time in the day to do that.
Interesting. So say we look 10 years in the future and this hasn't worked out, like this business for whatever reason just has failed. What based on your assumptions about the future today do you think will have changed that will contribute to the failure of Vortex? I guess what I'm asking is what keeps you up at night?
I think what keeps me up at night is a very interesting question. Actually, it keeps me up at night, which is that technically, everything is possible with the right amount of money and the right amount of time. So if you had infinite amount of money and infinite amount of time, you can literally achieve anything in the world. But neither of those two are possible, which means that we are up against time and up against competition, which we haven't seen yet. If we are working on this, there may be somebody else in the world somewhere working on the same idea. So it's about speed and scaling quick. And because we know that AI agentic framework is going to take over everything, and we are best placed to do because of our solid knowledge and reach to these partners that we have built over so many years. But if we sat quiet and grew very slowly, then somebody else will take over. We want to dominate the space, and which would mean that the speed and scaling has to be really rapid. That's what keeps me up. That yes, we have done it, but how quickly can we scale it? How can we get it to every retailer's hands way faster and in a safest possible manner as well? It's not about speed; it's about getting it right as well, while earning their trust at each step. And I think our AI agentic flow is so much better because the AI agents do not do changes directly to live site; they do it on a staging, which makes it way more safer. But that's what keeps me, awake, which is that if we didn't scale quick enough, then somebody else will take over. And we need to have, so which is why we would be a bit picky in terms of who we work with, in terms of, meaning the visions have to align, very similar to the team that we are very picky about choosing. Similarly, in terms of VC funding also, we would be a bit picky in terms of the alignment has to be there in terms of the vision, because we'll take bold steps and they have to be backing us all the way through.
Makes sense. Just conscious of time, how much are you raising, sorry, and where does that get you to?
So yeah, we are raising £5 million, and when you say where we will reach to, I couldn't follow the next part of the question.
Yeah, where does 5 million get you to, I guess, in terms of milestone?
Yes. Yeah, so in terms of milestone, we want to be having the framework for the agentic deployment for all of the key 4 platforms, which is Shopify, Salesforce Commerce Cloud, Adobe Commerce, and BigCommerce. We have done one, and the other is halfway through. The other 2 should be there, and we should have formal relationships with each of these 4, and taking about 15% of the market. If we could have hit with this 5 million, then we have done the case. We would be able to dominate the market.
Awesome, very exciting.
Thank you, David.
Conscious of time, is that the end, Izzy? Do we have a hard stop?